Hello, my name is Kirsty. Welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. This is my channel where I talk about all the things that I have been making. Today I have a lot to share with you. I have one thing that I finished, but I have a lot of different crafts that I have been dabbling with. I have spinning, I have knitting, I have sewing machine and by hand, I have mending, I have so many things that I have been doing that I am here and ready to share with you, so I hope you are here for it. Welcome if this is your first time, welcome back if you've been here before. So good to have you here. As always, I'd love to hear what you're working on while you join me today. And I think let's jump in. I even have some new techniques that I've tried. Oh no, I've got my books on the same table as the camera and that could be a problem. Bear with. Alright, so let's jump in. I am surrounded by piles of things. I do have a vanilla ice latte in this delightful mug or jar that I got. I got the jar off Amazon. It comes with a bamboo lid and the straw, and then I got the Highland Cows off Temu that you put on. So a homemade iced coffee today. I'll put that there without bumping the camera. All right. I hope the lighting is going to work today. I'm trying another new position. We are slowly getting out of the winter doldrums here in Poland. I live in Poland with my husband and 2 kids. I am from Australia, but I live here in Poland in Rzeszów. So cool. Yeah, we're slowly moving out of winter, and by that I mean we've had days, nights of -10 degrees Celsius. So it's not getting warmer necessarily, but we are getting more sun and more light, and so I decided to try and do this with natural light today. So this is natural light, but as the sun peeks out from behind the clouds, it may get a bit brighter, and as it hides, it may get a bit darker. So bear with, and we'll see how we go. Alright, I have so many things. Let's jump in with the knitting. The only finish that I have, and it's not even blocked because I don't tend to block muscle burrows, but I finished a muscle burrow. This is a pattern by Isolde Teague, which is designed to be, I mean, I say gaugeless, but any gauge. You start knitting, you check what your gauge is, and then you knit to the size according to that gauge. And so it's really great for if you're doing hand spun or different weights. It's quite fun. This is a fingering weight one. The grey stripy is Gazelle Hot Socks colour, and I don't even know if I have the number here. No, I don't. It is Grundle Hot Socks colour, but I don't have the colour number. But it is on the Ravelry page, so if you really want to get this yarn, I'm pretty sure there's only one grey Grundle Hot Socks colour, but if you really want to find it, then yes, I will always link Ravelry project pages below. The plain grey is Cascade Heritage, and again, I don't know the colour number, but it is grey. And so the way that I knit this one is I only had 50 grams of the Grundle Hot Socks, so I knit to the end of that, and then I started the Cascade Heritage in the grey. I was originally planning to make this the centre so that it would have one side completely striped and one side completely grey. But when I looked at the instructions, I realised that was going to make it quite a lot shorter than it should have been for this size. This is an adult extra large. And so I decided, since I had plenty of the grey, that I would just knit to the length that it said and then do the decreases. So the other side is entirely grey. And I figured that makes a good option of you can have grey with a grey brim, or you can have stripy with a grey brim. Yeah, I've made heaps of muscle burrows, so I'm not going to go into it much more, but I did finish this one. And the strange thing is I did not cast another one on straight away. Normally for the last few months, I've had a muscle burrow on the needles all the time, and I don't today. I don't at the moment. I finished this one and I just wanted a break. So there you go. Oh, I just realised I do have another whip that I didn't bring. It's in my handbag as my travel knitting since I don't have a muscle bar on the needles. But I haven't done much more, like maybe another 4 or 5 rounds since the last time I showed it. So I'm not going to even bother with that. That one is for a friend. It is an adult extra large, the largest size of the pattern. And yeah. The other thing that I didn't mention, which I really should, is what I'm wearing. I am wearing my Advent dress. This is the dress that I made out of my 2024 Advent. So I finished it maybe a month ago. And I finally got around to weaving all the ends in and blocking it and wearing it to show you. So let me do that right now. This main colour is called Snow Globe. I dyed it, but I dyed it according to the specifications of a friend who whose favourite Christmas movie is The Santa Claus. And so she wanted it to look like the snow globe where you've got snow and pine trees. So that's what that is. And then, yeah, we had an Advent swap. I'm not going to go into all the details again because if you've been here before, you will know it all. And if you haven't been here, go back to the first episode of 2025 and you will get a rundown. But basically, me and 5 friends, we did a swap. And so 5 of us did 5 colours from our favourite Christmas movie. And then my friend Sarah did the Santa Claus, which I've just realised I need to send you a photo, Sarah, that I never sent you, and I will do that. Yeah, so she did the main skein Santa Claus, and then we did the rest a colour at a time. I'll step back here. I am wearing it over jeans today. But yeah, so basically this has no pattern. I designed it. Let me pop back over here. The dress has no pattern. I designed it. I figured out sizing, increasing, all of that. I did keep notes so that I could write a pattern if I wanted to. I'm not sure I do at the moment. I've started another jumper, which I'll talk about in a minute, with the same basic shape pattern, but after wearing this I've decided some things, like I want the neck to be slightly more rounded or whatever, and so I don't think I'm going to write it up at the moment. I may write it up in the future. If you're interested in making an Advent dress, let me know. But basically, in terms of colour, I knit the whole yoke and sleeves out of the main skein, and I did not have much left, so the sleeves are like bracelet length, slightly short. And then I did 5? Yep. 2 rows of white and then 5 rows of a mini, 2 rows of white, 5 rows of a mini. And I held bare mohair the entire way through. So if you're wanting to make something similar, that's basically how I did it. And then I did do some waist shaping and some thigh shaping, hip shaping to try and make it into the shape that I wanted. But yeah, in terms of colour, if you're wanting to do something similar and you have a pattern, go for it. But yes, it is done. It is warm because it is mohair held with fingering weight wool. Wool nylon. It is a sock yarn, so 75-25 wool nylon. But it is, yeah, delightful to wear. We have had very cold days. And I actually haven't been wearing it because I've been all about my new jumpers that I've been making. So yeah, but that's okay. I did wear it to church and everyone loved it. And one of the ladies at church was like, yeah, I still want to learn how to knit. So I'm going to teach her how to knit a sweater soon. She knows how to knit. She's made scarves. She wants to learn how to knit a sweater. So yeah, I love wearing knits and getting to know people that way too. So that's what I'm wearing. Again, project page will be linked down below in the show notes. All right, that is my only finished objects. That's it. Because I have been doing so many things. I've been working on long-term projects. I just realized there's another one that I've been making progress on that I still didn't bring to show you. One of my blankets I've knit about that much since the last time I showed it on here. But that one can wait until next week too. I am so many... You know how you have seasons of, maybe you don't, but for me, you have seasons of starting new things, seasons of finishing things, seasons of just ideas sparking constantly, wanting to start all the new things. I'm kind of like, I want to start new things, but actually my sparking at the moment is about things that I've been working on, sometimes for 5 years, that I'm coming back to, and it's been really, really enjoyable. So I won't, no, I won't. I'm tempted to go run and grab that blanket, but I won't run and grab that blanket. I will show you that next time when I've made even more progress. But for right now, let's talk about the other things that I have been working on. In fact, let's show you this one next. This one is the sea glass tee, or the sea glass sweater, sorry. It is by Wool and Pine Designs, and I knit this one. I started it on holidays in 2022, I want to say. So 3 years ago, I started this. And the way sea glass sweater is made, it's a 1x1 colour work. And you can do it that you hold like 2 colours consistent throughout the whole thing while you're doing this 1x1 colour work. You can hold one consistent and change another one every round. I changed both colours every round for the entire thing, except for the collars and cuffs. And it took some time, but I really, really, really enjoyed it. Now, the thing with this is that you've got to join them somehow. And I spoke about this a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, saying I want to wear this, but I can't because my ends keep coming undone. And what was happening is when I joined them, I did magic knot. So I just tied them together, and the ones that were wool generally were fine, but I had a lot of acrylic, I had some sparkle yarns, I used everything. All of my DK weight scraps that I had of all types in this jumper, and not all of them were holding. And you know, as I joined them, I tugged them and they weren't holding. My sister, I believe, did the same, and she used glue on her ends, but by the time I realised they were falling apart, a lot of them had come undone, and there was no ends that I could hold to tie them together. So I either would have had to have duplicate stitched over a large amount and then tied them in or sewed them in or whatever. And I was like, I'm just not doing that. The sweater took forever to make, but I'm just not doing that. So I don't know if it was a suggestion from someone here. So if it was you and you suggested this, thank you so much. But I decided to use Grosgain ribbon, I think is what it's called. Basically just a really nice ribbon on the edges, but I decided to do it on the outside because most of the knots did sit on the inside, but some still sat on the outside. And I mean, you can see there's like a little bump through the center. I didn't want that on the outside, so I got ribbon and I sewed the ribbon onto the outside over the edge. I picked up this ribbon just at a passementeria, like a haberdashery shop here in Poland, down in Zakopane, not long after I moved here, and I fell in love. I got it in the dark blue background. I think I have some green background and some red background too, and it's just kind of traditional Polish flowers. In my mind, traditional Polish flowers. A Pole may tell you otherwise. But yeah, I loved the ribbon, and it's just been sitting there, and I thought that goes really well with the colour of the cuff. Let's do that. So I have a thicker one on the back, and it's just to the centre, and I do wear that on the back, not on the front. I think I'm not going to, but if I decided to do something like steek it and have an open collar, that would be a really cool design feature. But for this, it's just on the back. And then on one side, I have from the bottom to the sleeve. And on the other side, I just have the sleeve because there was no join on the bottom. I'm debating going back and adding down the side just so that it's symmetrical. But honestly, I haven't been bothered because it doesn't really matter. It's not necessary. And so we'll see if I can be bothered or if I'm just going to wear it like this. I do wear it, like I've worn it a lot since I finished it, and it seems to be holding up very well now. I did sew it on with machine, which was a little tricky with the sleeves because they are wide sleeves, but it was still a little tricky. And And obviously the ribbon isn't stretched, so it doesn't have the stretch that the rest of the jumper has. But I did try and do it not stretching the knitting, because I didn't want, when it's not stretched, to bunch up. And so I tried to do it as flat as I could, maybe with a slight stretch. It wears beautifully. How do I put this? I can tell that it's been mended. I can tell that it has something that's not knit on it, but I have no problem comfortably wearing it all day. Yeah, so I did it. I fixed it. Thank you everyone for your suggestions in how to do this. It is done and I wear it, and it's just so delightful. I think it's been sitting there for maybe 18 months waiting for me to figure out how to fix it so that I can wear it and not break it more. And it's done. So thank you. All right, in terms of what I have been making, these next two are both similar to this pattern. So let's talk about this one first. This is the Problem Child. Problem Child, Problem Knit. So this was basically my gauge swatch for this dress. And I took it off the needles because I needed the needles for a 12 cast on. I cast on 12 new projects between the 26th of December 2024 and the 7th of January 2025. And I just refer to them as 12 cast-ons. If you want to have a look, I have vlogs about casting on each one. But I used a lot of needles, 12 new projects in 13 days. So I had to steal some needles from this. I since finished a project and got some needles back on it. Maybe it was this one, I don't remember. So this is the dress. It's the same style raglan as this one. It's mohair held double with non-mohair. So this is 100% merino by, here's a new one, Knitting for Olive Merino. And it is colour Dusty Aqua 90549. And then this is Drops Silk Mohair. Do I have another one of these too? Nope. It's colour Blue Jeans, I can tell you that. Can't find the label. I have so many minis in this bag. Found it. Alright. This is a bag that I made with it's Anne of Green Gables fabric. Love it. I don't remember where I got the fabric, but that's what it is. And if you want to make some knitting bags, project bags, I have a tutorial linked below for that. Alright, so this is Drops Kid Silk Unicolor colour 27, and it was Blue Jeans or something like that on the website. So yes, just holding these two together for the main colour. I love how that's working out. And then I had some minis that I got from Takesha, thank you Takesha, in a swap. And so I've just been striping the minis one at a time as I get wider and wider, because I am doing it, I'll talk about who it's for, but I'm doing it for a little girl who likes swooshy skirts. And so as I'm getting wider, I've changed from 5 rows to 4 rows, and the main colour I've changed from 2 rows up here to 3 rows down here, so that it's still the same space between colours, or each colour has the same amount of space maybe. Anyway, but because I'm doing 5 gram-ish minis, I didn't want to start running out as the skirt got wider. So yeah, this was basically my gauge swatch for this dress. I didn't want it. I hate gauge swatching. Don't hate me. That's a thing. But I decided to make a dress. And I thought I can make this dress for my daughter. However, I pulled it out the other day, and my daughter's grown in the last few months since I started making this. And I just am not sure whether she will wear it. I will finish it off. I will add the sleeves. And if it doesn't fit her, I will put it away for another special girl at some point who can wear it. There is someone at church who I think would look stunning in it, who at the moment is, I don't know if she's even one yet. And so she's not up to this size yet, but maybe next winter she would be. Anyway, so I have no problem. I will finish making it. If it doesn't fit my daughter, I will put it away for someone else. My other option was to frog it, but because they're all minis, I kind of can't be bothered. And while I love the main yarn, and I could reknit it into, like, I could possibly do it into a bigger dress for my daughter, but I don't know if I'd have enough anyway. Anyway, I've decided I'm just going to finish it as it is. The main thing for my daughter is this is my last mini from what I got in terms of the different colours. So Takesha sent me lots of minis, but they were doubles up in colour. And so in terms of individual colours that work in this gradient, this will be the last one. And that's definitely not going to be long enough for my daughter. So I either have to find more scraps, which I could, and put them in, or have a shorter dress, which means it would definitely be for a younger girl. Those kinds of decisions. So it's just been sitting there. I have added at least one colour, maybe two, since I last put it away. So I have gotten it out and done some work. It is vanilla knitting at this point. I can add, I might increase the skirt again, but basically it's vanilla knitting. But I have another vanilla knitting thing that has taken over, which I will show you now, and that's why that one has been sitting without getting too much work. This is in another bag that I made. I forgot to put a handle on this one, and it is annoying, but that's all right. So this is the next one that I have made, or I'm making. This is another no pattern because it's based on my measurements for this one. And I'm getting there. What to say about this? I have done a lot of ripping back on this one. I guess that's part of designing, is that you make something and you're like, that's not quite right. And I'm still not sure it's quite right, but I'm definitely not ripping it back again now. But I may continue to adjust in the future for things. So basically when I finished knitting this one, I decided things like I wanted the neck to be slightly lower. I wanted the sleeves to be slightly bigger and different things like that. And so I had already cast this one on day 10. It's got a 0 here for day 10. These are leather stitch markers. I have 0 to 9 in stitch markers. So the 0 stands for day 10. And I got them from Knit with Sis, which is a Polish brand. Where was I? Yes, so I finished this. I cast this on according to this, except that this is DK, so I went down a needle size for this one. I then finished this, tried it on, decided I wanted to do some alterations, picked this back up and decided that actually I wanted to change a few things, like having a slightly less wide neck, a lower front, a bit more short row shaping on the back, things like that. So I did that. And so I was down to about here, which meant that I had done a lot more on the back because of the short row shaping, and I ripped it all out, including the collar, started again. Much, much happier with it the second time. Then I got to where I was going to split for the sleeves, and I realized that it was definitely not going to be big enough. But I didn't want to keep knitting over and over and over and have it too oversized in terms of where the sleeves split. And so I ripped back and I changed the increases a little bit up here to allow for bigger. I don't think I've actually tried it on since I split for the sleeves, so maybe I should do that, but I fully expect that in blocking it'll change again anyway, so that's fine. I am doing this, my plan is to do a pretty, I want to say like cozy, not oversized necessarily, but a comfortable jumper to wear over dresses. So I don't want it to be too long. Like this is sitting just under my bust at the moment. I've got another probably 3 inches to go until it's sitting on my waist. And so I'll probably maybe knit another 2 inches and then change to some ribbing for the waist section. But yeah, so it's now at the point that I've joined in the sleeves. It is just straight knitting. So easy. I've been doing this in the mornings as I read. I'm reading a history book at the moment, and so I've been knitting on this while I read the history book, and it's been working great. The yarn in this is truly a delight. So this yarn is by Maximu Yarns, who is an Australian dyer. He's in Melbourne on the Mornington, well, south of Melbourne on the Mornington Peninsula. And I'm doing 2 colorways for this. The first one is Art Room Brawl, which is this. Look at those colors. I love how it still reads as a pale yarn, but it has so many pops and deep spots. Oh, gorgeous. And the other one is this one, which is Icebreaker. And again, reads nice and soft and minty, but it has those deep blues and bright oranges. Ooh, love it. They are both on his DK weight 100% superwash merino 200 meters 100 grams. And together you can see there is definitely a color difference, but what I'm doing is I'm doing 2 stripes of this one stripe of this one, like 2 rows, 1 row, and that's giving me this fabric. I would have made it entirely with the Art Room Brawl, but I bought it at a show and he only had 3 skeins of it. And I knew I needed at least 4, probably should have got 5, but I knew I needed at least 4. So I chucked in an icebreaker. I think he had a couple of icebreakers there, but this was the one that matched best in terms of color and tone. Yeah. So that's that. I'm really happy. As happens with hand dyed, sometimes as you go through skeins it changes, and you can see that down the bottom it is getting a bit darker. Doesn't bother me at all. I love it. I have knit probably 1.5 of this so far. Like this is my second one, and then this is my only one of this. And so I've got 1 more of this to go, which I'm hoping to save completely for the sleeves. But I think looking at this and how much I just said I would knit, it will probably work that I will have enough yarn. And again, if I have to have slightly shorter sleeves for this one, so be it. Yeah, I love this yarn. It is so soft. I don't think I've used any of his DK before. I've used his yarn for socks, his luxury sock and his super soft sock, and they're delightful too, so great. The other thing that I will just mention here is I don't have a knitting bowl. I'm tempted to buy one, but I don't have one, and so I found this bowl that I picked up at an op shop, and I picked it up with the thought of using it for spindle spinning because there's a little hole in the bottom. And I don't actually know that I've tried using it for spindle spinning yet, but it does make a nice yarn ball for when the balls get a bit smaller. When they're bigger, they are cakes, and when they're bigger, they just sit up by themselves. But when they're smaller and they start falling over, this works great. Like I said, I am tempted to get a yarn ball, but at the moment, not necessary. All right, I do have one more knitting project, and then I will talk a little bit more about my many other things that I've been working on. Gosh, as I unpack the bag. So, let's put that up there for the moment. This next one is being kept in a bag. This is the bag. I made it myself. I think it's called the Sew Traveller or the Sew Date Traveller, something like that. I did look for the pattern a while ago and I couldn't find it. I think it was a free one from... It was a free one from a fabric company, but I cannot remember the company. I cannot remember the name. Anyway, it was a free pattern. It's really great. I made it in 2020, I want to say, maybe 2019, and I love it. And in here, I have a lot of different yarns. These are my Stardew Valley socks. So I have a pattern. I'm not going to show you anything that's going to give things away. But, it is called Spring the Valley Comes Alive. And I cannot find the author's name on here, but on Ravelry. I will link the project page below. And I have 2 socks going concurrently on this one. Oh no, dropping stitches, hang on. I do not have stitch stoppers on this, which is silly. I really should get some, but I didn't have any and I haven't done that yet. All right, I have 2 socks going. So the first, or the second one I should say, is only just started the colour work. I've been doing it, I've got a little honey pot because it's spring. I've been doing it, work one sock until I finish a colour and then go to the second sock and do up to the point that I need to start the next colour that's still attached to the other sock. So this one I only just started yesterday with the second colour because the first one, the second colour goes for a long time. So this is what I've done on the first one. And I have to say, I love it. I'm so impressed with that. I do colour work. Stranded colour work. I do it a lot. I'm not great at it. I'm just not. My tension is always a little bit iffy. Blocking helps a lot. But with socks, because you need the stretch, I'm just always a bit not quite sure about it. But like you can see, the sky, the clouds, I am so happy with that. The other thing that I did do differently with this one is I started learning how to do ladder back jacquard. And so let me show you from the inside what that looks like and how that is different from just stranded colour work. So if I can do this without dropping things. So this top part is stranded colour work and this bottom part is ladder back jacquard. And so you can see that there's kind of a row of stitches on the back, where up here it's just kind of caught behind the other things. And then the ladder back, it is a row, it's not random as well. It is something that I've heard a lot, especially at yarn shows. There's often a tutorial or a workshop where you can learn how to do it. And I've heard it a lot from people who design colour work, but I've never tried it. And I saw, from Yarn and Yarns, from one of her projects, I think she spoke about it and linked a tutorial, and I watched it and I thought, great, but I'm not up to that yet. I've been knitting for 20 years and I was like, I'm not up for that yet. Anyway, I picked these up again and I was at the point where I was really in the middle of the clouds. And the clouds have large sections where you're carrying the colour across. And I just wasn't sure, basically. I was putting it off. Let's put it that way. I was putting it off. I was postponing it. It was in the timeout corner because I was like, oh, that's so much catching, and then it's going to be like one long thing, which means you don't get the stretch. And so I wasn't sure. But when I picked them up, because I really wanted to do some stranded colour work again, I really like the focus that stranded colour work takes. And so I picked it up to do that. I knew I was at this difficult point. I thought about the tutorial and I was like, I'm just going to watch that again and have a look. And so I did watch it again and I was like, no, I can do that. Like, that's actually not difficult. As someone who's been knitting for a long time, it's a different way of thinking a little bit, but it's not difficult. And so I did it and I love the way that it worked out. I love the look of it. So if I can give an example, so if you look at the cloud, you can see little bits of blue throughout the cloud, which is fine because it's a cloud in the sky. But if you look down here at this blue, you can't see the white popping through in the same way. And that part there is done with ladder back, where this part here is done with stranded colour work. And I'm popping more stitches off. So anyway, it's not one way is better than the other, but in this situation, I think the jacquard has really helped do this better. The ladder back has really helped do this better. And definitely it's a more enjoyable experience for me to simply do that stitch on the back than it is to constantly be counting rows, because you can set it all up, do it, finish it, it's fine. So yeah, I did, on Monday I was talking to my family, and I think I did, like, we have a Zoom. Oh gosh, I need to put this down, and I need to get stitch stoppers. I was talking to my family, and I think I'd started the clouds, but I did most of the clouds while I was talking, and then I did the ladder back section down to here, and wound up the next mini while, I think after I spoke to them. Like, I looked up the tutorial and I did that, and then I did the mini later on. And I'm going back and forward between holding a yarn in my right hand, throwing, dropping it, picking up the other yarn, throwing, dropping it, picking up, throwing, and doing it, throwing with my right and picking it with my left concurrently. I'm getting better at that, and the tension is getting more consistent that way, and that would be my ideal when I'm doing colour work in the future, to be able to do two-handed colour work. But I definitely don't have a problem with dropping and picking up if I need to make it consistent. So there you go. I have so much yarn in this bag, not because I'm going to use all of them, but because there are 4 seasons in this set. There's spring, summer, autumn, winter for the socks. And so I have colours that I don't need for the spring that I may just use for the autumn or the summer or the winter. These are a gift. My original plan was to make 3 pairs of every season. I don't know if that's going to work, because one of them was going to be for my husband, and his feet are, I just don't know if the shape of his feet would work with this sock. So I'll probably still make some for me eventually, but these ones are a gift for someone else. All right. My ice is melting and it's watering down my coffee. The next thing I have to show you is spinning. I started as day 9 of my 12 cast-ons a spin, which I'm intending to be the Alpine Bloom Tea. Now, just like I don't swatch with knitting, I don't sample with spinning. I just spin, and if it doesn't work out to be a gauge that I can use for the pattern, then I'll use it for a different pattern, and I'll spin something else. I'm seriously not fussed. But this is the first bobbin done for this spin. The yarn is a Galaxy, I think it's a 21.5 micron merino. It is definitely a hand-dyed type thing, and I got it from Expressia Art Yarn, Expressia Art, which is a Polish company here in Poland. I originally started day 9. I was like, this is so quick. I'm spinning through this so quickly. And then I realized I had 50 grams. And I was like, 100 may work. I may need 150. I only had 50, which is why it was so quick to spin, because there was almost nothing there. And so I did go and I did buy another 150 grams. So I now have 200 grams of this. And so this is, what's a third of that? I don't know, like 85 grams. No. 70-ish grams on this bobbin. These are quite big bobbins. This is for my Ashford Kiwi 3. And this is what the yarn looked like beforehand. So this is one 50-gram bump split into 2. Just to give you an idea of the colours that are spinning up into that. Yeah, I'm loving it. This is when this is split into 2. So this was twice the thickness of this to get that kind of longer colorway gradient. This is I'm doing a fractal spin. 1, 2, 4. This is my 2, and I'm halfway through this bobbin at the moment, but this is my 1. So this will be the longest color repeat out of all of them. And I'm so happy. I had another bump that was kind of this really bright pink, a little bit of purple, but mostly pink and maybe a bit darker than that too. And when I realized I only had 50 grams, I was like, maybe I can do it with that one and turn it into a more pink spin. And I started and I just was not happy. I really liked the more moody colors in this rainbow rather than to have a majority pink one. So I just went with it. I don't know what I'm pairing this with yet. I'm going to spin it, ply it up, finish the yarn, see if it's even the right thickness. It's meant to be a fingering weight, so we'll see. If I did 2-ply of this, it would definitely be fine. But I'm not sure if a 3-ply will be too thick or not. But there is an alpine autumn sweater, which is sport weight. So if it's not fingering, maybe I could use it for that. Anyway, I'm having fun. It is enjoyable. And yeah, 1 bobbin done. All right, so that is all of my wool related things. I still have fibre, just not wool. So I did a lot of knitting and a lot of finishing. I did this one, I finished another sweater that I spoke about last episode, and then I was doing a lot of work on my other ones that I'm kind of designing, or that I'm designing as I go and playing around with. And then I was like, I want to do something a bit different. So I picked up some English paper piecing. Now I have been sewing, like you can see behind me, I have overlock, a sewing machine, lots of fabric down here to make clothes. I've been sewing for years. I wouldn't say I learnt to sew before I learnt to knit, but I did do a lot more sewing for years than I did knitting. And so I have about 30 different sewing whips that are sitting there waiting for some attention. And one of my favorite things to do is sewing hexagons. 1-inch hexagons are delightful. And so I decided to do some of that. And I have that in, I have another tin that I didn't bring up, but here is a box. It's just made out of cardboard covered in fabric. And this is all Anna Maria, almost, not this one. The rest of it is Anna Maria Horner fabric. And in here you can see I just have hexagons that are basted, which means that it's a bit of paper or cardboard that I have sewn fabric around and they're ready to be joined. I use, majority of the papers that I use are Tales of Cloth, which is an Australian-based company. They use recycled paper and they cut them with a laser cutter. I love them. They are my favourite, without a doubt. I do also have a 1-inch hexie cutter, and so I do cut some of my own out of card, or I've bought, which I'll talk about in a minute, I've bought a pattern from Tales of Cloth, and she also includes in her patterns sheets that you can print on normal printer paper and cut out yourself. So I've got one going where I've been doing it printed out and cut out, and then all of my hexies, most of my hexies are from her. So I base them, I do them, but I sewed some florets together. So this is for a pattern by Jemima's Creative Quilting that I started in I want to say I started in 2020 when, no, maybe it was 2021. It was either when my son was a baby or when my daughter was a baby. Maybe 2021 I started this, and I haven't done a huge amount of work on it for a while, but I got these out, and these were already put aside in a box waiting to just be sewn together, so I didn't have to do any planning of colour or anything like that. It was all just there. And then I went to find the quilt so that I could attach it to the quilt, and I couldn't find it. I did finally find it a couple of days ago. And with the quilt waiting, I have more of these florets that are waiting to be attached that I made a long time ago. These are, yeah, just 1-inch X's put together. And this is the quilt as it stands so far. I did, since I pulled this out, I attached some. I think I had 3 of these little 3 green ones still to attach. And then I've attached some of these as well. But let me stand up actually. This is what I got. It is enjoyable. It's just I'm working on it 1 ring at a time, so I'll finish attaching these and then I think I'm going to fill in the gaps with white before I keep going. I do take the paper out of the back when it is surrounded, so you can see maybe up here, like these edge ones still have the paper in it, but this middle one doesn't. So yeah, that's what I do when I get to the edge, or when it's surrounded, I take the papers out, and that just makes joining the new ones easier. And what I've even been doing for these is I've been taking the center flower papers out before I join it, because I just find it easier to manipulate when it's not quite so stiff. And I think that's also why I like the 1-inch X's. I've tried doing I think I've got a 2.5-inch XE quilt, or a 2-inch XE quilt going. And it's just not as enjoyable because it's not as manipulatable. Yeah, words. It's not as soft as I'm joining it. But yeah, so excited to have found the quilt and be joining it. And the next bit, like I said, will be I say white, but the low volume ones, which if I go back to this box, all of these are sitting and waiting to be added in. This box, these are 2.5-inch strips, but basically I based the hexes in a different place. When I've got them ready, I put them in here and I just split them into low volume, warm colours and cool colours. And then when I come to the designing, I can figure out in terms of how dark, how light, all those things. So yeah, that's that one done. But as I said, I couldn't find the quilt. The quilt was hiding. And so when I really wanted to work on that some more, and I had no idea what the next stage was, and I couldn't do any designing stuff because I didn't know what that was going to look like when it was all done, I then went looking for another paper piecing quilt to work on. And I found this one. So this is one I started last year in January, I believe. This is a Christmas ice cream soda quilt. Now, Jodie of the Tablecloths, I had the privilege of meeting her last year. I think it was last year. She lives in the same town as my sister, and so I was visiting my sister and we both got to go and have a cup of tea with Jodie, and it was delightful to meet her and see her house and all of her creative spaces. It was great. But previously with that, I'd only known her on Instagram, email, things like that. We'd had a few chats. And so she did a sew-along. I think she does a sew-along every year. I can't think of what she's doing right now though, but I think she does one every year. Last year it was ice cream soda. And so this is the one that I did by the pattern, but not the papers. And so I printed it on 100 GSM paper, and which is, I think most stuff that you buy would be 80. So it's slightly thicker than normal. But yeah, and I got it printed and I've been working on these. So this is what I have done in the last week. And you can see I'm fussy cutting, which just means some of them I'm making sure that the picture is showing, other ones I'm just cutting without much thought as to where things go. Previously I'd only actually completed 3. So these were my first 3. And I've now added quite a lot to that. And then I even the other day cut out another 9 blocks. So I'm making progress on this pretty quickly. I have slowed down now. This is my, just to show you if you like fabric, this will probably make you happy. This is my container of the fabric that I'm using for this. And so just having it all here, some things have pictures, other things are just plain. And so that's, I'm finding a good little way to pick fabric for the quilt. And then this is just sitting on top because it's Christmas and therefore it makes me happy. This is Cascade Heritage Wave, 75% merino, 25% superwash nylon. I bought this in Australia and it's just keeping this quilt company because it's Christmas. Yeah, so I've made a lot of progress on that quilt. I haven't done much really in the past year, and all of a sudden smashing it out. And this is what I mean when I say I have a lot of whips and I have a lot of things that I haven't worked on for a while. But I do go through, it's like waves of I really want to do paper piecing right now. I really want to do knitting. I really want to knit something plain. I really want to knit colorwork socks. Yeah, there you go. I think, let me double check. I think that is everything I brought to show you. Oh, it's not everything I finished though. I did have 2 other finishes and I forgot what they were. And that is, I made 2 pairs. I made curtains for 3 windows. One is for my kids' room, which I'll put a photo up here. And the other one is, you can actually maybe just see it over there, but I'll put a photo up here. I made curtains. I bought the fabric for these a while ago. I cut out the ones for the playroom ages ago. I just never got around to doing it. And finally I realized that the kids, with the days getting lighter, they really needed curtains again. And so I got them sewn up, cut out, sewn up, and then I did the playroom ones that were already cut out and just waiting. Yeah. And I think that may have been actually how I got my sewing mojo back. I didn't really want to do them at the beginning, but since I started doing them, I've been sitting and sewing almost every day at my sewing machine, which is right here. So I can show you this. This is a wedding quilt that I'm doing for my friend who got married last year. And so I've been prepping these and sewing them up as well. But my sewing mojo really started coming back when I had to do the curtains, and now it's back and I'm sewing. Yeah, so there you go. That is, I think, all of my things, all of my spinning, my knitting, my sewing, my hand sewing, my machine sewing. I've done a lot and it feels nice. It feels really nice to be working in all these different areas, making progress. I should say right about now, I have been sick and my children have been sick. So I have had more sitting and crafting time than what I would normally have. Thinking about how much I've just shown you. Yes, we have been sick. But yeah, I think it's been nice with the extended amount of time that I've had to be able to work in the different areas, and I've not gotten bored. Or if I do get bored, I put it down and pick something else up and then we're fine again. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me today. I don't really have much to share with you in terms of life stuff. We have been sick. I've been watching When Calls the Heart again. Not a huge amount, but just a little bit. I have decided to do Spin the Bin, which is something that Grumpy Sheep, Happy Llama is doing a spin along, I guess, that they're hosting. And so I've decided to jump in on that one. But I will record an extra video. I will record it probably now and put it up either before or after this one. So it may already be up on the channel. But I'm just going to go through the fibre, and I know that's not everyone's deal. So I'll do that as a separate video. And if you're interested in seeing that, please check it out. But yeah, it's basically you pick a bin of yarn and you pick fibre, put it in a bin, and you try and spin through that entire bin in the year. So I will talk about that in a separate video. Yeah, but other than that, it's been really cold here. It's been really cold. This morning, I mean, it was only -3 Celsius this morning, but I was out, I had my fingerless mittens, I had a beanie, I had my jacket, I had a wool jumper, and my cheeks were hurting. Which is strange because I don't think they were hurting when it was like -10 degrees a few days ago. But it was it was a different kind of cold this morning. Yeah. And I'm looking around. I don't know how much you can see of kids' area back here. It is a mess. But I did reorganize the kids' bedroom. When I did the curtains, I then got inspired. And my son has a bunk bed, which previously my daughter's bed was pushed underneath. And so I pulled her bed out because she's still toilet training and I still need to change her sheets a lot, and it was really annoying to do that underneath the bunk bed. So I pulled that out, and then I turned under the bunk bed into a cubby. I put cushions there, I put some stuffed toys. The bed came with some kind of partitions that you could put on the bed to turn it into a cubby, and so I put them up, and they are loving it. Yeah, loving it. Occasionally it's annoying when we're trying to leave and they're like, no, I want to go play in the cubby. But generally it's been really great and they've been playing really well together there. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me. I would love to know what you've been working on, what is going on with your life at the moment. I really enjoy reading all of the comments and chatting with people in the comments about, I don't know, everything, activities, joys, what you're doing. Yeah. If you haven't already, like and subscribe so that you get notified when other videos go up, and I will see you next time. Happy making!